Welcome to the pit lane here at the Salzburg Ring, where we've just been following Dirk Hacker, so the head of R&D for BMW M, around the circuit in a prototype M5. There'll be much more on that car to come in the magazine and in due course on YouTube as well. But now we're just going to grab a couple of laps in this, the M4 CS. We've got a pace car ahead of us. They haven't been hanging around today. Just thought it'd be a good opportunity to bring you a little bit more of this car from the hot seat, really. So M4 CS, it's pitched, as the name suggests, exactly halfway between the rear-wheel drive lightweight special, the 1000 off CSL, and the normal M3 Competition, or sorry, M4 Competition. There's nothing normal about the M4 Competition, to be honest. It's one of the fastest cars out there, and it balances it with an exceptional degree of sort of day-to-day usability. But this CS, so what have they done? There's a little bit of a weight saving here, 15 kilograms compared to the Competition, so nowhere near as much as the CSL. And that saving comes in the form of these shell bucket seats, which feel fantastic as ever. This car's also got the same carbon center console as the CSL, which is very pared back and minimalistic. It's got the same carbon bonnet. Carbon ceramic brakes are standard, and I think they save around 15 kilograms all round. The other thing to note about this car is that it's got the up-rated S58 3-litre straight six, so it's a direct transplant from the CSL. Obviously, the 8-speed box is very similar. It's not identical because it doesn't have a transfer case in the CSL. This is four-wheel drive, so 550 horsepower or so in the CS, same as the CSL. This has got four-wheel drive though, and this car right now is shod on Michelin Cup 2R tyres, which is an exceptionally...
Okay, now press M1 and then we go a little bit faster.
Here we go, that's Sven on the radio saying we're going to go a little bit faster. So that's a warm-up lap done, and here we go. Let's have a couple of hottish laps in the latest hot M car. Right, we're into this early chicane. One of the things I noticed earlier about this car is it just rides the bumps so smoothly, and it just gets the power down immediately before the body's kind of settled down. It's remarkably stable and pliant. Here we go into the big hairpin, past the apex, get on the power early. Yeah, there's just these Cup 2Rs, they are so sticky. Just a ton of grip. I think on the road in the UK you'd probably go for a Pilot Sport 5 or something a little bit less grippy, and you get a bit more of that sort of M-car adjustability. But right here, right now, what we want is precision, accuracy and grip. 260 kphs, bumpy section at the back of the Salzburg Ring. Got this big sweeping right-hander. To be honest, I'm glad to be in this car here in the dry, rather than some skittish Formula Ford in the wet, where that must be an absolutely terrifying bend. The other big takeaway here is that so often road cars, even very fast ones, feel a bit lost on racetracks because they just don't have the power for the amount of space on offer. That's not the case here at all. This car feels right at home on the racetrack at 550 horsepower. So much torque as well. God, it's pulling and pulling and pulling, and then onto the brakes. Sven's quite a late breaker, must be said. I'm just going to pop it into manual mode. Right, here we go. It's got that crisp M-car turn-in, quite light steering compared to a sort of dedicated sports car like a 911. And the other thing, of course, is that you've got a bit more sort of vertical body control in a dedicated sports car. These M3s and M4s, anyone coming from a 911 will probably be quite surprised at how much movement there is, but actually, once you get used to it, you realise it's very controlled. And in fact, it makes the car sort of more fluid and in some ways more intuitive to drive fast. It's just so accurate and balanced. God, the front end bite from these Cup 2Rs is obscene. Something really satisfying about taking something, you know, comparatively humble, sort of like an M4, and then just amping it up. 260 kilometers down the back straight again. 270. Bloody hell. Here we go into this big right-hander again. Sven's actually got the tail stepping out a bit. I think that's the thing about M cars, really. They are ultimately joy-giving devices. They are about having fun, first and foremost. I'll tell you what, though. Let's just dial back the gearbox mapping a minute so it doesn't interrupt us with ridiculously early downshifts. The thing about the CSL is in the UK, on a damp road, the way it was set up, you know, obviously purely rear driven, and just in terms of the geometry, it could get pretty nervy. I always found that incredibly exciting, but it wasn't always the easiest car to sort of find a flow in. I think the CS feels like it might be the sweet spot. It's a little bit softer, possibly a little less brittle. It's obviously got a traction advantage, but it does feel sort of, oh, probably don't want to hit a hawk on the back straight. It does feel a little bit, it does feel quite different in a way to the standard car, at least when you drive it sort of in extremis. It's got a sort of recognisable pointiness, for want of a better word, from the CSL, but with a bit more security and stability when you're on the throttle. In fairness, you know, in terms of throttle adjustability, this car's got a surprising amount of off-throttle adjustability. So, you know, when you're loaded up mid-corner and you just need to tighten the line, a little lift, and it's the sort of thing that supercars and, you know, 911s do really well and really instinctively, and you don't see it so much in sort of saloon-type vehicles. This car's got it, you know, when it's loaded up, you really can trim the line by just backing out of the throttle a little bit. If this thing works on the road in the UK, I mean, it will be, you've got to expect the class of the field in the sports coupe, in a serious sports coupe arena. Certainly I don't think AMG are building anything to rival this. Twin test with a 911 GTS, a basic one, similar price, both about £120,000. It's a juicy one to look forward to. Maybe you throw in a Mustang just for fun with it. But honestly, I don't really see anything touching this. It's another belting CS car from M Division.